When you've spent 17 years untangling land disputes, crawling through property records thicker than a Nevada phone book, testifying in courtrooms where one wrong contour line can cost a man his vineyard or his whole retirement, you start to spot a scam before it even knocks. Still, the envelope that showed up in my mailbox that Tuesday morning, I almost had to tip my hat to its audacity. It came dressed up cream-colored gold HOA insignia in the corner, the kind that's supposed to scare you before you even open it. For a split second, I almost tossed it in the burn barrel with the rest of their flyers, the usual junk about potlucks, leash laws, and those cheery threats about your trash cans. But something about the weight of it made me pause. Inside a multi-page document from the Sage Rock Summit Homeowners Association, a group I'd never spoken to in 5 years living here, telling me in that smug, legal way that about 2.3 acres of my land historically and administratively belonged to them. According to their story, my land only fell into my lap due to a clerical error in county mapping. They claimed the HOA boundary should have dipped further south right into my fence line. Two options, both wrapped up like they were doing me a favor. Option A, sign away those acres and correct the mistake. Option B, refuse, and they'd proceed to align the physical boundary with county authorities. Cute, right? Now, most people who haven't had their boots in the dirt of a courtroom might panic. Call their title company, call a lawyer who'll charge $300 an hour to tell them it looks bad. But I'm not most folks. Name's Ethan Marshall. And before I bought this 7.5-acre piece of heaven out by the Sierra Edge, I was the guy who settled these exact pissing contests, usually in a courtroom no bigger than your living room. I spent the next 6 hours knee-deep in my archives, my properties like an onion, layers on layers. Documentation, surveys, maps, water rights, drone photos, all locked away in the fireproof cabinet I built myself. I dug out my original deed, overlaid the survey map on the county GIS just to check I wasn't the one hallucinating. Spoiler, I wasn't. The missing land was mine. Not just within my fence, but explicitly surveyed, recorded, notarized, and double certified. Hell, I had satellite images from 5, 10, 15 years back. Land was always mine, always undisturbed. Their story about historic oversight was at best a bureaucratic smash and grab. And then, because I'm a glutton for punishment, I checked the local paper. Page 4, Sierra County News, Sage Rock Summit breaks ground on new community park. Trailhead access coming soon. That's when it all clicked. They didn't want to fix an error. They wanted my land to lay down a public trail. Sure enough, their own map in the paper showed a dotted line winding right through my southern edge. I laughed. The arrogance wasn't even the worst part. It was the assumption I'd just caved, just some quiet guy on the edge of nowhere, no clue about property law. They picked the wrong dirt farmer. I brewed the kind of coffee that makes your teeth itch and wrote my reply. 2 pages polite as you please, declining their correction. I also reminded them any attempt to touch my boundary would count as trespass under Nevada law. I've written that line into more lawsuits than I can count. But my gut told me they weren't done. Folks with matching shirts and manufactured authority don't just back off. They double down. Sure enough, 8 days later, I woke to steel clanging where it didn't belong. I walked to the South Edge coffee in hand, and there it was. A shiny black powder-coated fence stretching right across the bottom third of my acreage. Decorative little spears on top like they thought I'd charge it on horseback. Smack in the middle, a new aluminum sign, HOA border, future trail access. I had to laugh just out of disbelief. This wasn't a sneaky land grab. This was theater. They wanted me to see it. No survey flags, no boundary stakes, just a line drawn by entitlement. I didn't touch a thing. I took photos, sent up my drone, did a full perimeter sweep. By lunch, I had enough evidence to draw a prosecution map in my sleep. 2 days later, trimming apple branches. I heard engines, heavy ones, not the usual farm stuff. By the time I got there, a bobcat excavator was already chewing up the southern slope, carving a trench into my land. A dump truck idled nearby. 3 workers in neon vests shoveling like they owned the place. Private security with a clipboard and radio. Signs everywhere. Trail access. Sage Rock HOA. If they thought I'd be intimidated, they hadn't done their homework. I walked up slow. Let them see me. Clipboard guy puffed up. "Sir, you need to stay out of the project zone." I just looked him dead in the eye. "You're digging a trench on my property." He tried to tell me it was all part of the HOA's approved community drainage. Said if I crossed the line, I'd be the one violating boundaries. I nearly laughed in his face, but I smiled, nodded, and backed off because I had better weapons cameras, drones, trail cams, hidden mics. I documented every move, GPS coordinates, even caught a worker peeing behind my shed seriously. Didn't yell, didn't fight, just let them keep digging their own grave. By week's end, their trench stretched nearly 50 feet full of PVC and rebar. Nothing to do with drainage. But I kept quiet, kept watching. Brought in an old friend, Jim, Laker County Chief, for cadastral oversight. Jim hates HOAs even more than I do. He brought along a hydrologist, Dr. Lillian Bott, sharp as a tack. We walked the site, printouts in hand, drone flyovers, everything mapped and certified. Jim took one look at the trench, muttered, "This is textbook land theft." When we confronted the crew, their project manager, Darren Klemp, tried to bluff. "We've got all the permits. It's just routine runoff." Dr. Bott, crouched by the trench, pulled up a red chalk line. "This isn't drainage. It's structural prep," she said. Jim did a quick scan. "You're 31 feet into Ethan's parcel." That's when Klemp, thinking nobody was listening, muttered, "These 2 acres should have been ours years ago. We can't keep bending to people like him. The community approved this months ago." I slowly raised my phone, stopped the recording, and saved the file. Dr. Bott stood up. "You just said that on record, in front of 2 experts. Klemp turned pale. "Wait, who?" I shook his hand. "Ethan Marshall. Nice to finally meet you." We wrapped up. By then I had evidence that would make a zoning board cry, time-stamped footage, expert reports, a confession on tape. I filed suit. Unlawful encroachment, trespass, misrepresentation, malicious boundary tampering, even zoning fraud for good measure. My lawyer, Angela Cross, ex-prosecutor boots and a wolf smile, read the file and just grinned. Let's bury them in paper deeper than they buried that rebar. And just when I thought I had enough, I found the smoking gun. One HOA board member, Terrence Dunn, owned half of Golden Basin Infrastructure, the contractor set to profit off the new trail. We baited a trap, created a shell company, sold the disputed land on the hush-hush market, waited for an HOA proxy to show up, offering cash to make things disappear quietly. Recorded everything. The county even sent an anonymous whistleblower internal emails showing Dunn tried to swap contracts for boundary changes. It blew up media at my gate reporters filming the trench headlines about landowner strikes back. The courtroom was packed, local press, HOA board, half the Sage Rock residents. Judge Harland, no-nonsense scene it all, opened with, "Let's hope we're not here to settle picnic bench disputes." Angela laid out our evidence, title surveys, drone footage, expert testimony. The recording of Klemp's confession landed like a thunderbolt. The judge leaned in. "Mr. Klemp, is this your voice?" He fumbled, tried to claim it was taken out of context. Angela didn't let up. Evidence of fake land sale secret, offers even an internal risk report written, wait for it, by me under contract, warning the HOA they had no legal claim and could face felony charges if they continued. Judge Harlan took off her glasses. "Well, that's what we call stepping in it." After that, the HOA's lawyer tried every argument in the book. None stuck. The verdict, 2.3 acres, always mine, HOA's project unlawful. Their board guilty of fraudulent misuse of authority. Court ordered them to dismantle every inch of fence, pay me $420,000, and cough up another $100,000 to the county for falsified zoning. And then cherry on top, HOA President Melanie Trost and Terrence Dunn referred for criminal investigation. By the time I drove home, the news vans beat me there. Contractors waited by the fence, heads down, ready to start pulling bolts. I didn't have to say a word, just pointed, made a slicing motion. Word spread fast. Folks waved as they drove by, some stopped to thank me. Others shared their own stories, fined for mailbox styles, flower colors, holiday lights. I didn't organize the town meeting, they did. They voted to dissolve the whole HOA board. Passed just like that. I stood in the back, arms crossed, watching folks finally take back what was already theirs. County sheriff confirmed the zoning records had been illegally altered. FBI wanted internal HOA emails. The fancy community park plans canceled. Welcome pavilion never built. Best part. 2 days after the verdict, I get a fat envelope. No return address. Letters from former staffers, a couple driven out by fines. A young family thanking me for reminding people property lines mean something. That's when it hit me. It was never just about my dirt. It was about not backing down when bullies come calling with clipboards and fake authority. And for my last act, I didn't hire anyone to rip out that fence. Court gave me the right, but I wanted to feel every bolt come free. Every post I yanked from the ground. Every symbol of their arrogance dismantled by my own hands. Saturday afternoon wrench in one hand, iced tea in the other, I worked slow. When I finished, I put up my own sign, brushed steel laser cut. This land was fought for and won. No HOA shall ever cross it again. Sent a tape measure and a property law handbook to every former board member. Measure twice. Trespass never. Angela called it petty. I called it poetry. Now I answer emails from other folks fighting their own battles, started a podcast, Don't Fence Me In. First episode, they tried to steal my land with paperwork. They forgot I wrote the book. Turns out people love a revenge story with the smell of cut grass and justice. The mini horses have a new shelter. Tomatoes did well that summer. Every now and then I walk down to that old scar in the ground, grass growing back, and tip my hat to the wind. And when a neighborhood SUV rolls by a little too slow, I just smile and let them wonder what else I've got buried out here besides the truth. So let me ask you, where do you draw your line? And if someone comes swinging with paperwork and arrogance, are you ready to stand your ground? Drop your wildest HOA war story in the comments, or just let me know where you're watching from. Justice is worth fighting for, even if you have to dig for it.